Now we begin with the growing anti-Israel protests at some of our country's most prestigious universities. These are live pictures over Columbia University here in New York City. You can see protesters taking over Columbia's lawn with tents. And NYU students are planning a walkout at 1 p.m. Eastern today. Just last night, NYPD riot teams arrested over 150 people during last night's protest. And the protests aren't just limited to Columbia and NYU. At least 22 elite schools, including all 5 of the nation's so-called top universities, have seen anti-Israel protests within the past week. These students are supposed to be America's best and brightest. Instead, they're on the streets openly cheering for terrorists who raped women, kidnapped babies, and slaughtered entire families.
Israel, go to hell! Israel, go to hell! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! No more money for Israel's crime! I believe that we will win! I believe that we will win! We fought a revolution! There is only one solution! There is only one solution! We are Hamas!
You're Hamas, wow. You're what? You're Hamas?
Yes, we're all Hamas!
So what does our President Biden have to say about these blatantly anti-Semitic protests happening under his watch? Well, he plays both sides.
Do you condemn the anti-Semitic protests on college campuses?
I condemn the anti-Semitic protests. That's why I've set up a program to deal with that. I also condemn those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians.
This from a president, Ian, who claimed the reason he stepped in as presidential candidate for a second time was that he was fired up after then President Trump, he felt, had played both sides with the Charlotte nationalistic white supremacy rallies there. He said, how can someone play both sides? And here we've been delivered this gift.
Well, that's exactly what's happening here is you have President Biden really operating a campaign, right? Because he doesn't want to lose Michigan. He doesn't want to lose Minnesota. So if he goes too far in support of Israel, he knows that's going to happen. What he needs to be doing is being the commander-in-chief of the United States of America. I mean, we're not just dealing with these unhinged, spoiled brat protesters at Columbia and NYU. We're dealing with an international issue here. And if you look to what October 7th was, beyond barbaric terrorism, it was a test. Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, they were testing the resolve of the American people and American leadership. And we failed that test. And we signaled to Iran that we are not going to have Israel's backs because they have successfully created this this chaos here that our leadership is buying into by not roundly denouncing it and saying we stand strongly with Israel. Only John Fetterman is doing that in the Democrat Party right now. So, I think that what we're seeing here is a coordinated operation, and President Biden is more focused on winning re-election than he is executing his job as the president of the United States.
So in this dearth, Harris, we've not gotten a proper condemnation from our president, nor the appropriate fury from the media. And Bari Weiss writes in the Free Press, she says, for a second, imagine that black students at Columbia were taunted, go back to Africa. Or imagine that a gay student was surrounded by homophobic protesters and hit with a stick at Yale University. Or imagine if a campus imam told Muslim students they should go home for Ramadan because campus public safety could not guarantee their security. There would be, she writes, relentless fury from our media and condemnation from our politicians, and goes on to say, quote, this weekend at Columbia and Yale, student demonstrators did all of the above, only it was directed at Jews.
So we know from the beginning of the early days of the Holocaust, it was, people having their homes raided, that the Nazis wanted people to wear yellow stars, Jews to be marked. And boy, I tell you, the tick-tock was quick before they were put to death in camps. I mean, I wonder where we're going. And so I pay attention to what they chant. I do think their chanting has become rather, coordinated. When you listen, drill down to the tape, you can hear on occasion someone saying, repeat after me. I mean, what the heck is that? They show up, they don't really believe in what they're saying, but these two things really bothered me. We are Hamas, we are all Hamas, and we believe we will win. that means this isn't just about Jews. This is a bigger picture. There, but by the grace of God, go who? We, them, who? Who is winning? Who are these people really? And by the way, the young man who sat last hour on the set with me, a student at Columbia University who's not physically there today, he'll be online as part of their hybrid program, because, you know, you lock down the victims. Yeah. So what he said to me was that there are a lot of people in those tents who don't belong on that campus, and the university knows it. And they don't even kick those people out. So if you want to think about it this way, insurgents have come in onto the campus. They're living inside these tents. Even if you're a protester, you might be in danger. You don't know who's right next to you in the next tent. I mean, this is just out of control. And Columbia University looks like a big fat waste of money.
Tammy, let's drill down into this, because NYPD, the Deputy Commissioner, Kaz Chaudhry, said the exact same thing Harris just pointed out, that someone's obviously funding these protests. He said, look at these tents. They're all the same color. They're all the same type of tent. The same ones we saw at NYU are the same ones we saw at Columbia. To me, I think somebody is funding this. I noticed from our aerial footage, they are also perfectly placed. Yeah. Right? And as we've seen on all protests, talk to me about what that means.
Well, we have seen this before. It's recycled. They know what they're doing. They know how to organize this. And it's not just from October 7th on. It's about the Occupy movement. This is Zuccotti Park. It's Mizzou all those years ago with tents in their campus. And that, of course, destroyed them financially. When it came to admissions, they had to close 7 dorms because of a lack of students. And Americans watched this unfold in major blue American cities with the Occupy movement. Tent cities, chants, all of that. I would argue also that this is perhaps not our best and brightest. Just like those who infiltrated the George Floyd marches, is that these some of these people, maybe even a majority of them, we don't know because no one's looking, are not students at those universities, as that young man mentioned in your interview on Faulkner Focus, that these are not people with the university, that they are trespassing. So these are either they're being paid $20 to show up, they don't have a life, they don't understand what they're chanting. You're absolutely correct. They didn't understand when they were chanting from the river to the sea what that meant. And that is the problem. There are people out there who can be organized. As a former organizer, and this is why I'm no longer one for the left, is that you rely on ignorance. And you want to keep people ignorant. And that's what's happening here as well. So funding, yes, the same base of leftist organizing in America that needs chaos and needs to make people afraid and unsure about what the future looks like.
Well, that part's working.
Lisa, we know that history is doomed to repeat itself if people do not remember it. Earlier this morning, we had Tova Friedman on Fox and Friends. She's a Holocaust survivor. She walked out of Auschwitz as a 6-year-old with her mother, and she had this to say about the current climate.
When I walked out of Auschwitz with my mother, I said to my thought, I will never have anybody call me a dirty Jew or anything else again. I am free now. And here it is today. I am shocked. I am pained. I'm scared. I'm scared both for America. I'm scared for the Jews.
I mean, I can't imagine having to go through the Holocaust and see this. We should really take in what these students are saying here. They're saying if they deem you a colonizer or the oppressor, you deserve to be raped, you deserve to be murdered, you deserve to be annihilated. I mean, that's the message from the future generation of America, or future doctors or future prosecutors or future judges. And it was a certain dictator who hated the Jews, who sought the genocide of the Jews, who said he alone who owns the youth gains the future. And now this is the future of our country, also people who hate the Jews. Joe Biden launched his candidacy in 2020 off of Charlottesville. He said it was about our core values. He said it was about our democracy. He said it was about the soul of the nation. I mean, what are Joe Biden's core values? Allowing Jew hatred so you can win Dearborn, Michigan?
Great point.
Yeah, it's a great question.